Some members of a congressional delegation touring the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, ANWR, said it is past time to start drilling for oil there. The current energy situation in the U.S. has, of course, brought renewed attention to this largely untouched section of Alaska. Chief Washington correspondent Jim Angle looks at both sides of the issue tonight in this report.
This barren land has been the focus of a fierce debate for almost 30 years. The Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, or ANWR, is 19.5 million acres, but the 1.5 million acre coastal plain has an estimated 10 billion barrels of oil, which the Clinton administration called the largest unexplored onshore deposit in the U.S. Kaktovik, on a small island nearby, is the only community in the area home to some 300 Eskimos. They would obviously be the most concerned about the potential impact of oil exploration, but many are in favor.
A lot of people here support opening ANWR, and we hope that they would listen to us.
Community officials concede there are some opponents to drilling in the area known as Section 1002, but they say the community as a whole wants to go forward.
The three organizations represent the whole village of Kaktovik, and all three organizations support responsible development of 1002.
Unemployment here is about 50%. Kaktovik is above the Arctic Circle, so winters are harsh with temperatures of 30 below or worse. And many locals are now struggling to pay their heating bills. But officials say they still wouldn't approve oil exploration if they weren't confident their way of life would be preserved.
We feel that it can be done in a safe manner. Otherwise, we wouldn't be supporting it at all.
One reason many of the people who live here are in favor of oil exploration is because the industry has told them they can drill for oil using no more than 2,000 acres of the 19.5 million in ANWR. Local officials point to an installation about 100 miles away called Alpine, which sits on 97 acres of land, but taps 4,000 acres of underground oil using directional drilling and bringing in 120,000 barrels a day. In fact, when the debate first started, it took 20 acres to access 1 square mile of underground oil. Now it only takes 6 acres on the surface to drill out as far as 8 miles underground.
Today's footprint, the physical impact to the environment, is substantially smaller than it was just a decade or two ago.
But environmentalists are unimpressed and find the possibility of oil production in ANWR downright offensive.
You know, I've stood on those mountains. And if I stood on those mountains with an oil field, in my view, it would be an obviously entirely different experience. The wilderness would be gone forever.
Opponents also say it would be years before any oil would be available from ANWR, and also argue that finding more oil is the wrong way to go.
People are ready for a change. We don't want to keep burning fossil fuel.
But it will be decades before we have enough renewables to replace oil, and production is falling. Congress has repeatedly debated drilling in part of ANWR, and in 1995, it even reached a decision.
We passed legislation that would allow us to drill in ANWR. President Clinton vetoed that bill, and if he hadn't, we'd be getting about 1.5 million barrels of oil a day out of ANWR.
Someday they'll open ANWR, whether it's now, whether it's 20 years from now, they'll find out that they really need more oil.
We're back in Fairbanks now, Britt. You know, Congress back in 1980 declared 17 million acres of ANWR a wilderness, but not the 1.5 million acres along the coast. Even then, the democratically controlled Congress was thinking about the oil there, and 30 years later, still talking about it. Britt?
Jim, thank you. Thanks for making that trip. Treasury Secretary Henry